Hello YouTube, NYKia31 here. Hope everyone is well. Haven't spoken to you guys in a few days, but I'm going to be playing catch up. But don't you guys worry. Never fear. Madden videos and some NCAA videos. Finishing up my run and shoot / flex shoot breakdowns and all that good stuff. But I have been dealing with a back injury. I threw my back out working out last week, and let me tell you, I don't know how many of y'all out there have ever hurt your back, but I would rather tear an ACL than deal with a bad back. I mean, it's amazing that you don't really think of, you know, how many movements in the human body are tied to your back until you have a bad back. And I spent pretty much 2 days just almost immobile with a giant heat pad on my back. And then during the week, my back gradually began to loosen up, and I got to a point where I could at least sit in a recliner chair, again with a heat pad on my back, and either watch some TV or hop on the old PS3, or, you know, lay down either flat on my back or flat on my stomach rather. But as far as doing anything remotely athletic, that was out of the question. But I'm back to normal and healthy again for the most part. Still a little bit stiff, but back injuries suck. They're the worst. But anyway, we wanted to talk about a couple of things, both in the Madden world and the NFL world. First of all, I haven't posted an online franchise game in a little bit. Partly because I'm tired of showing you guys my L's. I need to get some W's. I need to get some W's, but I'm in the worst slump of my Madden life. Like, ever have those stretches in Madden where you just feel like you're never going to win a game ever again? That's where I'm at right now, and I need to figure it out. I need to just grunt through it and get that ship righted. Even guys who've been in this league with me for a while are saying, "Dude, we've seen you start out slow before, but not like this. What's going on?" And I'm like, I don't really know what's going on. I don't have any answers. So, again, mental toughness, baby. You gotta have it. You just gotta persevere and fight through it. But anyway, I want to start out with talking about a couple of Madden pet peeves that I have. Things that just annoy me. My first and biggest pet peeve is mic games or headset games. I do not play games with people who wear mics. Now, that's no disrespect to the people on YouTube who, you know, talk over the mic when they're playing their games. I love your videos. I'm not talking about you guys. You guys know the type of people I'm talking about here. We're talking about how when you're playing and you hear through your TV one or all of the following, or some combination of the following. You hear bad rap music with bad audio quality. You hear bad aspiring rapper rap music, almost always coming from the person you're playing, who feels like the PS3 or the Xbox is an appropriate place to do an audition. And they're always horrible. They're always just the worst. Some combination of drunk, high, or stoned, if not all of the above. Someone with a 5th grade grammar level. Someone who sounds like they live in a crack house with shrieking children and baby mamas yelling in the background. And almost always, without question, without fail, the person is either horrifically bad or they're a rampaging, raging cheeser. And the most common team that these people use is, surprise, surprise, the Raiders. Now, what is it about the Raiders and their ability to attract such a large percentage of cheesers, glitchers, and idiots? Is it just the name and the outlaw image that the Raiders have? Because this is not anything new. This has been going on for years. Every year, the Raiders are the glitchers, are one of the top teams of choice for the glitchers. And this year, of course, you have the Eagles. Every Eagles game is the same. You have, you know, Vic scrambling, and you have nickel defense all game long. That's you know, every Eagles game. That's my biggest #1 pet peeve. My second one is more of an in-game pet peeve. You know those games? I'm sure you've all had those games where the person you're playing just has glue man coverage all over the field from everybody. Like, I'll have games where I see linebackers like Ray Lewis or Anthony Spencer, DeMarcus Ware, being able to cover Pierre Garçon and Dallas Clark in the slots, man-to-man, all over the field. I had a game with a guy on my friends list who uses the diners, and there was a play where Calvin Pace, one of my linebackers, was able to cover and blanket Michael Crabtree on a deep corner route. It's like Madden Online has this ability to flip a switch and determine whether or not you're going to beat man coverage that day. And it seems to be a situation where if it happens to start the game, it lasts all the way throughout. Guys who can't play press coverage are shoving around your best press coverage, you know, beating wide receivers all game, and maybe they'll get beat once or twice. Or you see, you know, guys like Lamar Woodley, guys who are pass rushing linebackers or run stuffing linebackers, covering slot wide receivers and tight ends like Antonio Gates. It doesn't happen all the time, it doesn't even happen often, but when it does happen, it's a pain in the neck because the game becomes almost unplayable. That's pet peeve #2. The ability for the game to just flip a switch and the AI to just hijack your game and say, you're not beating coverage today, period. Good coverage downfield. Now that that's done, I'd love to hear what your guys' pet peeves are. What are some of your Madden Online pet peeves? Or gameplay pet peeves? But on to the NFL. And as far as the NFL goes, what is wrong with the Steelers and the Eagles? A couple of weeks ago, I think it was last week, one of my subscribers mentioned that the Steelers have some pretty big problems. I always have great respect for the Steelers, but, you know, I'm not a Steelers fan. I don't see them, you know, week in and week out, and this guy is, and, you know, he said that, you know, the team has some issues, and sure enough, they do. Injury issues, blocking issues, Ben isn't playing all that great, and they don't, even the defense doesn't really seem to be playing at a Steeler, you know, tough physical level. Something is not right there. It's like the team is kind of stumbling over itself, trying to find its way. And Philly, you know, Philly, I think it's a combination of things. One, I think it's a bit of mental softness. You see a lot of, you know, crazy mental errors that Philly is making in their games. I think we've all overrated their defense. We knew that they were going to have great depth at corner and great quality at corner, but there are other aspects of defense other than just having three Pro Bowl caliber corners. You have to have a defensive line that's stout and doesn't get shoved around. You have to have linebackers who can stuff the run. And we're seeing teams, starting to push Philly around defensively a little bit. Frank Gore came out this past week and said that Philly quit. They quit trying to play hard. That's not a good sign. And also with Philly, there's always a couple of games every season, or a stretch every season, where Andy Reid kind of loses his mind as a play caller and becomes way too one-dimensional and predictable. And you see that rearing its head as well. Philly's at their best when they're able to keep you off balance. A little bit of LaShawn McCoy here and there, having to account for Vic all the time, and the threat of Macklin and Steve Smith with Selleck underneath. And we haven't, not Steve Smith, but Deshaun Jackson. We haven't really seen Steve Smith at all this year so far. And you also have Selleck underneath to account for. But it just seems like Philly is making mental mistakes, having games where they're being physically shoved around. Vic is getting banged up, and they just seem completely out of sync and out of sorts. And on the positive side of the spectrum, we have the Lions. The Lions are starting to get a little bit of swag. A little bit of swag in the Lions game now. Looking forward to seeing how they perform Monday night. It's a good thing to see, and I hope they keep it up. It's a really good story. And then, of course, you have the soap opera in Dallas, and the soap opera that is Tony Romo. And I don't get Romo. Romo's a guy who always statistically looks good and stretches throughout the game. He plays like a borderline top 5 quarterback. But then he just makes these, Favre-esque mistakes. And just goes on these runs where he just, pisses games away and shoots his team in the foot. Now, I'm wondering if the Cowboys' window with Romo has closed. They had a chance a few years back, a couple of really good chances that they let slip away. And, in the NFL, when the window starts to close, it's very hard to pry it back open. And I'm wondering if the Cowboys have maxed out. So I'd love to hear from Cowboys fan about that as well. Romo's one of those polarizing QBs that seems to generate a lot of a conversation, either pro or against. There's very little middle ground when it comes to guys like Romo, and Eli Manning's like that as well. So I'd like to hear what you guys think about this stuff. Talk to y'all later. Peace.